Well, hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. I'm your host, Sharon Vornholt, and I'm so happy you're tuning in today. Today, I want to talk about something that I keep getting questions about, and that is the probate process and the probate timeline. Now, as you know, the biggest problems facing investors everywhere are finding the deals and finding the money. So today, I want to talk about finding leads, which is how you get deals, and how you find a consistent stream of leads for your real estate investing business. This problem is solved when you work with probates, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to really make you understand that you will literally never run out of leads with probates. And I want to talk a little bit about the mindset. I'm not going to dive deep into that, but why you should clearly understand that you are helping these folks out. So there's so much less competition in this niche. You get to build a business, a very lucrative business, and you get to help a lot of people. So the thing that is so special about probates is that they will always need to sell the property. Almost always, they're going to need to sell the property. Generally speaking, the property in probate is going to need to be sold before the estate can be closed. By virtue of being in the estate, it's a property that's going to need to be sold. It's not a matter of if it'll be sold, but really when it will be sold. And these folks can be very motivated. They have a property that they don't want. So in order to take care of the business of settling the estate, which is paying the creditors and getting the heirs what is owed to them, they're going to need to sell the assets in the estate, and that includes any real property. Now, once that is taken care of, once the property is sold, then and only then can the heirs get what is owed to them. So this is a big reason why they're motivated to sell the property. Understanding the process and that it's really not that difficult is in your advantage because there really is a lot less competition in this niche. So these folks need to get the business of settling the estate out of the way. This is a legal process. It's something they're required to do, and we provide a valuable service to them. Once you understand how the process works, you're going to see that it's actually pretty simple. Now, probate leads are sourced locally. They are court cases that happen in your area. They're not something that happens far away in another state. So they're sourced locally. There are over 3,300 counties in the US, and every process is a little bit different in every county, but the big picture remains the same. The thing that you need to understand is it takes a little bit of detective work sometimes to figure out how to get these leads. So just by virtue of figuring it out, of taking the initiative to figure this out, you are way ahead of your competition. Now, if you think about the deals on the MLS, you're going to realize that there are thousands of realtors in most cases, and maybe hundreds to thousands of investors going for that one deal. If you can become a probate expert in your area, focus on this source of leads, one that is a steady stream of leads that just happens as a course of life, and understand how you can help these people, how to talk to these people, and these sorts of things, then you can build a thriving business with probates. So what I want to do is I want to pull up a graphic here, and we're going to go through this process step by step. Okay, so I have pulled up the probate investing graphic, which is a timeline of how the probate process progresses. Now, if this is a little bit hard for you to see, I'm going to tell you how you can get this graphic for yourself and download it in a full 8.5 by 11 page size. So what happens in the probate process? So this is probate investing simplified. So the probate process goes something like this. Someone passes away. Like I said, it's what happens in life. There's birth, there's death, and these folks, when someone passes away, a member of the family, the executor, the personal representative, someone inherits this problem. So the probate will need to be filed with the court. A member of the family will normally do that unless there's an attorney that's in charge of taking care of this estate, which does happen sometimes. An attorney is the personal representative, but typically it's the family. So the probate is filed, and the attorneys, they do the things behind the scenes. The judge does things behind the scenes, like they'll prove the will. They will determine who should be in charge of settling this estate. I like to call that person the decision maker, because that is the only person that can sign the real estate contract. Now, there are two ways that this happens. Over here, there is a will. That's one scenario. There's a will, and that estate will be called testate. It has a will. Now, if there's a will, if you were to make out a will, you would say, I name Sharon to be the executor of my estate, or I name this person. In other words, you choose who you trust, who you want to administer your estate, to see that everything is done according to your wishes. Now, if there is no will, that estate is called intestate, so without a will. In that case, the court will determine who the administrator is. So the administrator has the same function as the executor. It's just a matter of the court has chosen them rather than being named in the will. Now, this gets kind of confusing. You have the administrator and you have the executor. They have the same exact duties and responsibilities, and jointly they are called the personal representative. And you can refer to these people as the personal representative. The way I like to think about it is you have sons and you have daughters, and they are called children. So you have an executor, you have an administrator, and they are called the personal representative. So if you frame it that way, I think it will be less confusing. Now, if you can see this graphic, you will notice that the next step in this process, once the personal representative is all taken care of, there will be something issued called the letters of testamentary, that say this is the person. This is the person that has the legal right to sell this property, to sell any asset in the estate. So once this happens, then the assets can be sold. Now, the assets are personal property and they are real property. Real property, of course, is real estate. It's anything attached to the property, like lakes, mining rights, oil rights, things like that. Personal property, generally speaking, is anything movable. It's money, stocks, bonds, jewelry, boats, cars, things like that. So the assets are in a pile. What happens is the assets are sold if they're not directly willed to someone, if someone is not, directly inheriting one of those things, then it will be sold and the money is put in a pot, is put in a bank account so that the creditors can get paid. And that's the next step. I want you to be aware that the heirs and what they're inheriting is way down at the bottom of this list. So the assets are sold, the creditors get paid next. So who are the creditors? Well, the creditors are anyone that money is owed to. It could be that the deceased had a home equity line of credit on their property, or they might have a mortgage. They could have a credit card debt. They could certainly have things like medical expenses, funeral expenses, nursing home expenses. So before anyone gets what they're inheriting, before the heirs get what they're inheriting, all the creditors must be paid. Now, you might say, how did the creditors know that someone has passed away? In almost every state, there is something published, and this will be a little bit different, typically in the newspaper, but there's something called the notice to creditors. That puts them on notice that someone that owes them money has passed away, and they have a specified time period in which to file a claim to get paid. In some states, it might look like this. It might be 2 notices published on 2 sequential weeks in the newspaper, and then they have 6 months to come forward, or they have this time period, or their procedure may be a little bit different in some areas. Now, I know from working with people across the country with students that New York is one state where they do not publish the notice to creditors. In that case, I guess someone is watching the obituaries. I really don't know how that works, but there must be a different way that they find out. Now, there may be another state. I just haven't worked with students in all 50 states, so I couldn't say for sure. But I do know that New York is that way. So once the creditors are notified and they have come forward or they have not come forward, then finally, once that time period is passed, the heirs get what is left. Then and only then do you get what you're due to inherit. So if that were me, or if that were you, generally speaking, if we're inheriting money or something else, we're going to be very motivated to see this process move along. So you can see how that works. So let's go through it one more time. Someone passes away, the probate is filed. It's determined if there's a will or there's not a will. You will have a personal representative will come out of there, either an executor or an administrator, but the person will be the personal representative. That person and only that person, not the heirs, not a relative, but the personal representative is the only person that can sign on the dotted line to sell you the property. As you can see, this happens about in the middle of the probate process. Once the probate is closed, it's over and done. So the assets are sold, the creditors are paid, the heirs get what's left, and the estate is closed. And it really is that simple. In my area, a probate deal is no different than any other deal. It's exactly the same, in fact. You get into some states, California, some of those areas have a little bit different process. They may have a little bit different way of doing things. But in most areas, it's just like a regular probate deal. So if you want to get a copy of this graphic, which is included in a resource I have called Probate Investing Starter Kit, you can go to the blog, the Louisville Gals Real Estate blog, and you'll find it there as one of the freebies. Just click on the box and it will be delivered to your email. You can also just take a shorter path to that and go through the course link. So the course that I have is Probate Investing Simplified. And you go to probateinvestingsimplified.com/starter kit. So that's what you do, Probate Investing Simplified /starter kit. And I will put a link here for you to get that. Now in the starter kit, you'll find this graphic. You can tack it up on the wall if you want, or file it away somewhere, just so that you remember the process. I will have the same explanation that I gave you today will be written out, and you'll have a sample probate letter that you can begin your marketing with, a letter that's ready to mail merge. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me at sharon@sharonvornholt.com. I'll put that information in the show notes too. But I want to encourage you to take the leap to look at this niche. Unlike many other niches that are affected by the market, by COVID, by many other different things, probates will never go away. If you get in a period in time where foreclosures are down and you're working foreclosures, then you're going to need another lead source. Absentee owners, they are not as good of a lead source as probates. Probates will always be here and they are unaffected by market conditions. They will always exist. And we get the great honor of helping people that have inherited a property that they don't want. They don't want to fix it up. They do not want to put their money into doing updates so it can be listed on the MLS. We get the great honor of helping these folks with the sale of the property, and we get to help them move on with their life. They are so grateful that you will find that this is really a great niche to work in. So once again, if you have any questions, I'll put the links in there. If you want the Probate Investing Starter Kit, probateinvestingsimplified.com/starter kit. And the course, if you want to check that out, how to become a probate investing expert in 6 short weeks, that's probateinvestingsimplified.com. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.